Hold the Alt key when hovering over an item to see a detailed breakdown of its stats. This breakdown includes whether the mod is a prefix or suffix, the tier of the mod, and the roll range inside of that tier. Basically, all you need to know is that the higher the tier, the better the mod, but the less chance of it appearing. Therefore, the concept of understanding if an item is good in Path of Exile simply comes down to understanding which individual modifiers bring value, and then in-game finding an item that has multiple of those mods at decently high tiers. For example, pretty much every single character in Path of Exile wants gear that has life and resistances on it because those are, by far, the most two important defensive layers in a build. This is because elemental damage, fire, cold, and lightning are the most common damage types that you'll find in a dangerous situation. And for life, well, what's the point in resisting things if you just fall over from a simple fart in the passing wind? So, if you find an item that has life and 2 resistances with all of them being like T5, T6, or higher, then you might have found something valuable. However, if that item's type is a pair of boots, for example, simply having life and resistances doesn't instantly make it valuable because it may be missing movement speed, an extremely valuable stat due to it exclusively rolling on boots, and its overall scarcity from other sources in the game, such as the passive tree and on different skills. These shoes are made for walking. Or running, most likely. Of course, there is a gigantic learning curve in understanding by looking at an item for just 0.3 milliseconds whether or not it's vendor dumpster trash or something worth putting up for sale. Trash, 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 almost not trash, 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 almost not trash. But thankfully, as a new player, that's kind of the whole point of playing the game, right? To learn and improve and grow in your experience and have fun playing the game, right? You guys don't want all the answers just spoon-fed to you, ruining the joy of experience. Here's a chart. On weapons, you're looking for damage. Who could have thunk? For most weapons, a good balance between the weapon's hit damage and its attack speed, aka its damage per second, is what makes it valuable. But for some, such as two-handed maces, you want to see higher hit damage and not necessarily high attack speed, because mace lovers love slam skills, and slams are all about hitting once and hitting hard. Also, for the majority of weapons, their physical damage rolls are what bring the most value, with the elemental ones typically being a nice addition to something with high physical mods, and not the driving factor in the weapon's overall value. However, if you find a bow, for example, and it has 2 high-tier elemental damage rolls with some decent attack speed on top, it's probably worth a pretty penny. The exception here are caster weapons, wands, and staves. Casters are typically looking for mods that increase their spell damage and any damage that rolls on a weapon, unless explicitly stated to apply to spells, will only apply to attacks. Therefore, on wands and staves, you're looking for things like high rolls of percent spell damage, percent damage in a given element, and the big kahuna plus level of skills. Plus levels provides all builds an absolutely gargantuan power increase, as most skills get about a 6% increase in power from just a single level. And you're increasing every single skills level at the same time. But as with all of these modifiers, remember that the tier of the mod matters as well, not just the mod itself. A staff with 100% increased spell damage and 70% increased fire damage, but only +1 to fire skills, does not hold nearly the same value as if it had +6 to fire skills. For most other pieces of gear, thankfully, it's pretty much just life and resistances. Attributes, strength, dexterity, and intelligence are also heavily desired here in Path of Exile 2, much more so than in PoE 1 if you're coming from there, so don't instantly write off an item with only 2 resistances when it also has a high tier attribute roll. And remember plus level of skills, yeah, it can also roll on your gloves and your amulets as well. Finally, rings are typically the first place players look to improve their resistances due to the implicit value of most rings, the mod that's always on them, being resistances, so be on the lookout for some rings that drop with some juicy res rolls on top of their implicit. Even if they're missing out entirely on a life roll, you're more likely to land a sale on a ring than any other piece of gear simply because of those resistance implicits. Also, chaos res holds much more value than elemental. Please understand that this chart is still an oversimplification of itemization in Path of Exile 2. It's simply here to point you in the right direction. Also, if you're struggling to remember what kind of mods roll on what type of item and what the range is and the tier and all that stuff, I've included a link in the description below to a website that every experienced Path of Exile player uses. It's called poedb.tw, and on this site you can see every single mod that can roll on every single item, including not only their values but their weighting or their likelihood of rolling, as well as sections for all skill gems, support gems, unique items, and more. It's a very, very useful site, link in the description below. But now that you have a solid baseline in determining what a valuable item might look like, let's talk about how to actually find them in the game. By killing stuff. No, but really, while you're not likely to find an item worth hundreds of exalts off of the ground, you're gonna find one worth 1 or 2. 3, 5, 10, heck even 20 sometimes. Once you understand what a valuable combination of mods looks like on a given item, it becomes a whole lot easier to pick up a drop, ID it on the spot, and determine whether or not it's worth keeping in your inventory to go sell, or whether it deserves to go straight back onto the ground like the piece of T3 mana roll it is. But hold on, wait. Sure, it may have mana, but look at the other stuff too. T7 life, T4 lightning, T6 cold, and T5 chaos res. And it's a pair of boots. You remember what we're looking for on those? Well, you see that good looking chaos orb sitting in your stash there? Slap it on, buddy. Let's see what happens. Let's go. Oh. Well, better luck next time. But seriously, that is how you're going to find valuable items the majority of the time. You'll find one that is almost good, missing 1 or 2 key affixes, and then you slap on a chaos orb to hopefully change out one of those poopy mods for a good one, or you just straight up use an exalted orb or 2 on it if it has some empty slots and see what you get. After all, you do know what they say. You got to spend money to make money. But obviously, if you're a beginner and you only have like 3 exalts to your entire family's namesake, then you probably don't want to be throwing those around willy-nilly now. You would be able to get much more value out of those 3 exalted orbs by simply going over to the trade site and using them to buy an item from another player. But trading is outside of the scope for this video. Let me know if you want to follow up in the future. Finally, I want to end the video here with the most important tip I can give you about building wealth in Path of Exile. Play the game. Just play the game. Stop waiting around in your hideout for that item you listed at 5 exalts to finally sell when it's only worth like 1 exalt. Stop researching best bow build to use to farm 5 million exalted orbs for our headhunter modifiers 2024 Path of Exile 2, 5 billion exalted orbs, divine orbs dropping from the sky. And stop being afraid to risk a few of your own exalts or chaos orbs on a pretty decent item to potentially turn it into an absolutely gargantuan one. Play the game. That's all you got to do. You never know what might be around the next corner. Other than that, you can check out my stream at twitch.tv/Woolie Gaming. Come by, say hi, or ask some questions. I would love to help you out. Other than that, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.